horse Chasseur of the Imperial Guard were more than just elite cavalry. They were a living legend and Napoleon's personal escort, following him all the way from Austerlitz to Waterloo. In this video I'm starting to paint a historical bust of this legendary regiment, whose uniform became a symbol of the greatest victories and the most dramatic pages in the history of the Grande Armée. So without further ado, let's get started. My name is Vito, welcome to my humble creative forge. The bust comes in a nice sturdy plastic box, which also includes several reference images of the uniform for painting. The sculpt itself is highly detailed and well made, with almost no casting defects. Only a few gates and small lines needed cleaning, which took less than an hour. There are only 4 parts in the box, making assembly as quick and easy as possible. However, the head is cast as a single piece with the torso. This is the only major downside, as it creates many hard-to-reach areas during painting. Traditionally, busts from this sculptor have a small pin for mounting them on a base, but I always use wooden sticks of the diameter I need. It makes the connection much stronger. I also make all my busts removable from their stands. For this one I didn't even glue the stick. For all the cleaning, preparation, degreasing and priming took me 1 full day at a relaxed pace. Painting starts with the most difficult areas, the shirt, the necktie and the inner color. At this stage it's quite simple, just creating light shadows and highlighting the folds. Now for the face. I actually started with Drybrush and trying to find a faster way to prep the skin tones. But as it turned out, this was almost a useless step. After applying the base Carian flesh tone by Citadel, I used Radiant Flesh Shade, which created a dark undertone and shadow map. Then a Drybrush with the base skin tone highlighted the features, giving me a clear map of the skin texture and wrinkles. To make the skin look live, I applied heavily thinned red paint to the cheeks, forehead, nose and chin. I wiped it off immediately with the clean, dry brush before it could dry. This created a subtle blush that added a lot of realism. The hair was painted in a simplified way using Garde contrast paint over a dry brushed surface. The fur on the hat and the jacket was also painted with the grey contrast paint, which isn't actually grey but works great for stone and dark fur. I will cover the gold braid details in more depth later when I get to the uniform. The classic colors of the Chasseur are a green tunic and a red jacket. After applying the base colors, I created all the shadows using oil paints, dark green and dark red respectively. You don't need to be too careful with the oils here, the fact that the paint spreads easily is actually a plus. A useful tip for everyone: when acrylics and oils mix, you can easily get very smooth transitions without waiting a long time for the paint to dry. You can thank me later. All the decorative ornaments were made of gold braid in real life, so simply painting them gold is not quite right. You need to create the effect of braids. I used ochre as a base, then applied a heavy wash of Agraxero sheet. After that it was all dry brushing. I restored the base ochre, highlighted it with the lighter ochre, and finally very carefully dry brushed it with polished gold by Vallejo. I did it so light that only tiny gold particles remained on the very edges. Together this creates a very convincing look, though the final varnish will hide some of it. This was probably the hardest part of the project, not because it was difficult, but because the relief was so uneven. It was a very tedious process. After that, the painting was mostly done, except for a few touch-ups and a wooden base. The whole project took 6 days from start to finish. The bust is large and tall, it will look great in any collection. I would rate the difficulty as above average, mostly due to the decorative details and the non-removable heads, but the large scale helps a lot. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, see you next time, take care.